people may have come across a guy named Darren Rovell. He's all over social media. He's often commenting on a lot of like NFL topics, I guess, but he's widely known as very cringe, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, I call him like a galloping personality disorder because it's basically fixated on like the value of everything and the price of nothing sort of guy.
Yeah.
Right, that's Darren Rovell.
Yeah. And
the price of everything, the value of nothing.
Consistently, he posts horny on Maine, that kind of guy. And in this instance, Bradley's already laughing.
So just to set up before we play this, his actual like response to what got him in trouble is he tweeted out this: my most cherished piece of Martin Luther King memorabilia are pages from the warden's logbooks from the Birmingham jail in 1963 when he wrote letter to from a Birmingham jail. King signed in and out of the mail 12 times. It was sold by the family of the Birmingham jail warden. So that's who got the money from this, and that's one of his most prized possessions. So anyway, that's just, and so people were responding to this, say, hey, that's kind of fucked up a little bit. Maybe you should donate some of this giant collection of yours. But anyway, we can play.
Well, so
he has 2 million followers on Twitter too. So we're not talking about some like randos for people who aren't familiar. Like he's a big name in like sports business commentary, it seems.
Yes. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a surprisingly difficult holiday for most people, and I don't necessarily understand why, because no one forces you to say anything. I don't even think I posted that day.
But this guy loves to post, and he loves to say things, including he doubles down on his MLK memorabilia here, and here he is in a Miami fan Twitter space, just waxing poetically about all the MLK memorabilia he owns.
Explain it to the fan base so everybody can get on the same page.
Sure, I have over 9 MLK signed items. I am a humongous fan of what he's done, and over the last 7 years, I've collected a lot of things. It's not only MLK; it's a lot of Black history. I own a Rosa Parks signed NAACP card. So it was pretty shocking today how I was called racist when I am a student and lover of Black history, and it was I never expected the reaction that I got today.
I own the literal Billy Club that they beat him with, and you call me a racist, sir? You call me a racist?
Wait, he's not done. He's got more to say.
Oh, he's got more.
Oh, let's
the whole trophy case.
I'm sorry if people think that a white man can't enjoy Black history. All right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry if people think that a white man can't love Martin Luther King. But to me, that seems pretty counterintuitive.
What?
You got me?
Yeah, they got you. Hey, Footballville, you have a question?
He anticipated your what, Matt? That's how not racist he is. He anticipated your incredulity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. Like, say you're a guy that owns, I don't know, a ton of Nazi memorabilia. You're like, oh, I'm a historian of World War II. I love the Jews, so I own a lot of Nazi memorabilia. Wait, no, he owns the impetus for this was that he owns something, the logs of the warden from when MLK was jailed.
Well, I mean, the problem.
Emma, did you forget about the Rosa Parks rookie card? I mean, come on.
Very rare. Very rare. I mean, that's going to go for like $5,000 on eBay.
But
it's a little.
Go ahead. He knows what's going on with. There's a discomfort because he's using a euphemism when he says, "I can't enjoy Black history or be a student." Like, what you're owning it, you're possessing it, you're commodifying it, right? Like, it's becoming your possession. Like, I have this tweet here. This is from the original response to that. Like, King signed in and out of this his mail 12 times. Somebody said, "Fuck you, donate this immediate," and then someone's like, "Sell it, donate." They get a. Somebody says, 1 MLK signature is worth a ton. I can't imagine something of this significance. Give that away for free. No one, regardless of skin color, is that dumb, right? This is the type of people Rovell represents. Rovell responds to that tweet saying, I offered to put it on loan at the Smithsonian. They required me to donate it. And people are like, yeah, you should fucking donate it. Donate it.
Yeah, maybe like loving Black history, actually showing a true appreciation for it, is not hoarding it for your own financial gain. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit on the nose. That's a metaphor for, profiting off of Black trauma in America, I guess. It's a little on the nose. It could only be better if it was like an NFT. Then that would really be like, taking it to the next level of where we are.
If you make it an NFT, but in the process, the actual like physical artifact gets destroyed forever.
Yeah, like how like the Star Trek transporters work.
He rips up Rosa Parks' NAACP card as he logs on and makes it an NFT. Like now it's digitalized forever and everybody can own it.
It's worth even more now that it doesn't exist.
It was so, for me, the most, the one of the most amazing things was the way he was just talking about well, first of all, he's talking about MLK and Rosa Parks as if they were like brand name sports stars, like they were out there to build a brand. Second of all, talking about the items, the historical artifacts, as if they were like, again, sports collectibles. Like, get your MLK souvenirs here. What about your rare Harriet Tubman collector's items? Like, just so weird. Like, that was, of course, the idea of an individual buying and selling and owning these things as like, collectibles. For obviously to him, it's probably an asset too. Let's be honest. If someone was to offer him a lot of money for it, he'd be very happy, because I would venture that's part of the point of buying that type of stuff, at least for a private collector.
Yeah,
I think that MLK Day is really interesting because like Martin Luther King Jr. is like the, America approved like voice and standard for like civil rights era. And so everyone takes it upon themselves to support MLK as a way to like pretend they care about Black people or pretend they're not racist. And we just have so many different, displays of what people think being not racist look like in this country, and most of them are just like, I'm going to quote MLK, and then some people are just like, I collect his memorabilia like I collect anything else. It's very American. It's a very American holiday, in its exploitation of civil rights. And honestly, there's pretension that people cared about MLK the way they care about, or rather that people back then were as in support of Martin Luther King Jr. as they pretend like they are now, is interesting, especially when we have politicians who like post, or like institutions that post, like who are directly involved in like his, like, or rather opposing him at the time, pretending like, oh yeah, like they just weren't there at the time. Like, I mean, it's just weird to have like the CIA and FBI be like, Martin Luther King Jr. would want you to, volunteer for service at your local FBI recruitment offices. And then people, respond that like you told him to kill himself. And then people go like, what?
But we weren't the exact people that did that. I mean, we were playing it the other day, Republican politicians being like, this isn't, or it was Geraldo Rivera talking about voter ID laws. This isn't Bull Connor. That's not us. As if they have to be, put on like a 1960s accent and participate in racism in the exact form and way that it was done 60 plus years ago for racism to actually be in their hearts.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing about that, is because like racism becomes part of this dichotomy that exists between like a present America that is like better than it was in the past, and like our past racist America. And using the FBI as an example and COINTELPRO and stuff like that, everyone who knows about it is always assured that things don't still work that way, but can't really point to anything that would, make them believe that, other than it was something that happened in the past. It's like, well, yeah, that was a thing the FBI did, but they're not still doing that. And then it's like, well, why would you think they're not still doing it, other than that it's not literally 1964 or something?
Well, we had this discussion. I mean, Brandon, you might have been actually in studio when this article came out about the the FBI infiltrating BLM protests during George Floyd. That's commonplace. And then they have the gall to tweet out something about MLK, or like, and then the commodification of it also just boggles my mind when you have Excedrin PM or whatever, or Tide detergent. Like, MLK would have wanted you to keep your clothes clean as hell. I mean, it's just he's like become a patron.
Why do you think they were spraying them with the hoses? Obviously, it was all about cleaning the clothes. Yeah, but he's become like the patron saint of like proving America has grappled with its racism and come out a better, even though like, they shot him. The FBI was involved, and people know that. And even like you were right, I was in studio for that article. It's just, it's just another thing that people can tell themselves like as sort of a lazy moral story about like black and white moral tale. The past was black and racist in terms of like morality, not just in terms of black people, but in the present is better and slightly or not at all racist in the ways that it was in the past. And we know, I mean, honestly, it's very little has changed since the time of Martin Luther King Jr. in terms of like black wealth. In some ways, I think they've gotten worse. They're trying to take away people's right to vote, just like they were back then. We've, from the moment the Civil Rights Act was passed, just like the moment, Roe v. Wade was passed, people have been trying to roll back those accomplishments.
Excuse me, Brandon, have you missed out on this brand new NFT income stream for people of color? I mean, it's blowing up.
Oh my gosh, I guess. I mean, but also to that point, not about the NFT.
That's one of the arguments crypto advocates like to push because, NFTs obviously have like look at the big ones like the Bored Apes. They obviously have like a strong fan base with like, street art people and so like their argument is there's a lot of, Black and Latino artists that are collecting these NFTs too and making money.
I will say, just to finish, I want to talk about the NFT thing because there was another 8-based scam last week that I was very invested in learning about. But also, I mean, to the point Emma made before about like BLM and Martin Luther King Jr., like having this like mythologized figure of Martin Luther King Jr. who engaged in only nonviolent protests and was never in the way of the functioning of capital in any meaningful sense, the way people like to pretend BLM should be, it just allows for mainstream discourse to exist on civil rights that is entirely divorced from the way it actually existed. And so like people are always being like held to a standard of MLK, very sanitized MLK's civil rights era level of civil disobedience that we learn about in public schools, and we can see now they're still trying to like make you learn even less about it, and so that people are even less able to determine and understand that the people who like are not in favor of BLM today are the same ones who would have been against MLK back in the day. Like nothing has changed other than like they've been allowed to pretend with MLK in the past that they are in favor of this sort of more pure, more civil anti-racist protesting.